Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 276, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Fakafon, we're more banana bread. I'm sorry, Brody.
By
the way, props on Vice for getting this on the first try. This is not the third try. It's not. It's the first try.
That's true. That's true.
It is true.
It's my third birthday, if you will. But
It's your third birthday?
my third birthday.
Oh, yeah.
We should do an entire Corrective Consciousness on that game alone.
I've only played the first one.
And not about the book or the, two decent games, like the one good game and the one
I read the
game.
book and I played the good game.
Yeah, the second one is not considered very good, right?
It's considered
Isn't that
like
what I heard?
okay.
Well,
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Better than nothing.
Well-
No, that would be Mighty Number 9.
Oh my god.
Isn't that what they said? Like
It was
during
something
the
like
release
that. It
of
was
it?
like,
Yeah.
I know what you mean, but it comes off terribly out of context.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, we are continuing to talk about Tim Burton's Batman and more kind of the impact of the second movie, because the second movie was just so goddamn weird. But it was a sensation at the time. Like the whole like attitude of it was something like brand new, and it really made Michelle Pfeiffer an icon again. I mean, like she had always been like an icon since like Scarface, but it was like it was a big deal. Like everybody looked at the style of that movie and like was all about it. But like if you go back and look at it, it's just like the most Tim Burton-y Tim Burton movie. I don't think there is a movie that is more Tim Burton than that movie. Like
Edward Scissorhands.
I mean it's up there, but like it's so Tim Burton-y that like it ignores its own movie. Like it like ignores its own. Like Batman is barely in it. Like it's it's so funny. It's just like up its own butt. But I do want to talk kind of like we did with the first movie. Talk about the video games that resulted from Batman Returns. So probably the most famous Batman Returns video game is going to be the Super Nintendo one by Konami. Have you guys ever played the Super Nintendo Batman Returns game?
I think it's the one with there was a lot of projectile weapons in that game, wasn't it?
No, this one is actually a like a belt-scrolling beat 'em up.
Oh, never mind then.
Just like Final Fight or something
Oh yeah,
like that.
with the creepy clowns and everything.
Yeah.
I don't think I've really played a Batman game up until like... Damn, like...
Arkham Asylum.
It might have been Arkham Asylum, yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, you have played The Adventures of Batman and Robin on Genesis. We've played that together, right?
I think I just saw you play it, but even then I wouldn't say, I've played it like 5 minutes. I'm not counting that.
Gotcha.
It's like the same thing with that Saturn Batman game. Like, that was a riot, but like... It was like 20 minutes, I don't know.
We could go over that once we hit the Schumacher.
Yeah, I look forward
universe.
to that.
Oh boy.
But yeah. Do we want to do the Schumacher movies?
Might as well.
I legitimately like the first one and tolerate the second one.
Okay. Well, we could do Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I mean, they technically are still part of the same series,
Which is weird when you think about it.
Yeah. Do you know who is the one actor in common with all four movies?
Commissioner Gordon.
No, it's not. But it's similar. Yeah.
Alfred, maybe?
He's not in all four? The old guy?
I don't. Oh well, maybe it is Commissioner Gordon, but that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for Alfred on that.
Oh, you're right. He's definitely in all four.
But yeah. This Konami beat 'em up was really good. Now, one of the disappointing things about it is that it is only a single player beat 'em up because Batman didn't have a partner. He doesn't have a Robin yet.
Yeah.
The only character that you could really even foreseeably make into a player 2 would be Catwoman, because Catwoman's like, plays both sides, but She's more well suited as a boss,
Yeah.
which she is in this game.
By the way, for the record, Pat Hingle, Commissioner Gordon, he is indeed a mainstay in all 4 movies.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
so there are two actors that are in all 4. But yeah, I mean, that Konami game is really a lot of fun because it has kind of destructible environments which you don't really see in a lot of beat 'em ups from that era.
Yeah, I think you could literally throw people in the windows and stuff.
Yeah, in the
Yeah, you could
background, it was
throw-
like
throw people
Splatterhouse. Like
into
you
the
just smack them into the
background.
background wall.
Yeah.
It's kick ass.
Yeah, I mean, like, people will always remember, throwing the foot soldiers into the screen, but this is, like, in the opposite direction, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, where they're just like breaking windows. It's like that's pretty kick ass, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, Batman's particularly brutal in this game, too. He, like, grabs people by the throat and throws them.
Yeah, and
That's
like,
okay. He's pretty brutal in that movie.
I know, but it's so funny because he grabs them one-handed like a badass and just moves
Yeah.
around with them.
Yeah, like Tim Burton Batman was scary, but like even he wasn't pulling that shit.
Well, he can even do a double grip where he, like, grabs 2 of them and smacks them together.
I didn't remember
yeah,
that.
yeah. I never played that game, but like I used to try doing that in the Maximum Carnage Spider-Man game because you could do it a lot more easily when you could web them. You didn't have to be right there for both of
Yeah.
them.
Well, what I like about this game in particular is, first of all, the music's really good and the graphics are really good for the time. But it's a very snappy beat 'em up. I hate it when beat 'em ups are sluggish. This game like manages to be like super snappy. It's really fun to like you were saying, grab people by the throat and walk around with them with no
Yeah.
slowdown whatsoever.
It's like it's like Max in Streets of Rage 2. He just lifts a guy, just goes where he feels like.
Yeah.
Or Battletoad versus Double Dragon. You're not carrying people, but you're pretty brutal. Some of those characters with
Yeah.
throw animations.
Yeah, so this game is just well known for its atmosphere. It feels like the movie. It's just a really good representation of the movie, and I would probably say that it's probably the best Batman Returns video game, and rightfully so. It's the one that people bring up the most. There is an NES game. A lot of people don't realize this, but there was an NES version of this game, and it is a completely different game. It feels like it was built on top of one of the Ninja Turtle beat 'em ups. It just feels like one of the Ninja Turtle beat 'em ups from that era. So if you really liked playing Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, or the Manhattan Project, this is a game that really gets overlooked. That is actually really excellent. I really found that the NES game is insanely overlooked. I think it's a lot of fun. There's some decent platforming challenges in the game too. It is challenging, but I think it's a really fun game, and I love the music in it. I think that's one of the things that's in common with all the like the Batman games of this era is like the music is always really freaking good. Oh, and I wanted to bring up one thing here. There is actually, believe it or not, a sequel to the first Tim Burton Batman NES game.
Oh yeah, Return of the Joker.
Return of the Joker, yeah. So there's actually a game in between these two games, which is actually kind of funny. Sunsoft didn't make the NES Batman Returns game. They made their own sequel, which was called Return of the Joker, whereas Konami made the Batman Returns game. But I think all these Batman games for the NES are really good. There's not a bad one out of them. They're all really good, and they're for different reasons. Batman Return of the Joker is well known for being an NES game that really pushes the limits of the system. There's some stuff in there that, like, some really big sprites and some really good background layers that, like, people are, like, kind of mystified how it got made because it's one of those games that really pushes the hardware. It's up there with Battletoads and Double Dragon on the NES. Looks, like, really phenomenal.
Yeah, or Journey to Silius with its bass track.
Yeah. Sunsoft really, at the end of the NES era, really was making some really cool shit. Gimmick is another one of those games.
That game's spectacular soundtrack.
Oh yeah, and it has its own sound chip that no other game has. And there's also Euphoria as well. So like, Sunsoft just was really cool. That's another game that is well known for Batman having munitions that he really shouldn't have. He like shoots rockets and all kinds of like weird machine gun like gloves and shit in that game, and it has some really cool set pieces. But yeah, there was also a Genesis version of that game in particular, but
of the Batman Returns beat 'em up, you mean, right?
No, there is a Batman Return of the Joker port to the Genesis that is not as good as the NES one, which is kind of funny. You'd think it would be better or have better graphics, and it actually is really disappointing. And it doesn't control as well and doesn't look as good. So, yeah. Well, getting back to Batman Returns, there is also a Genesis game made by Sega themselves, and it's kind of a generic... I would say it's kind of a generic game. I don't think it's very good. It's kind of boring, in fact. But there is something interesting about the Game Gear game. Do you know anything about the Game Gear game, Lotus?
No, not at all.
Or Lou?
I'm afraid not.
So the Game Gear game has a soundtrack by superstar Yuzo Koshiro.
Oh,
so
that's
if you want a Batman game with a Yuzo Koshiro soundtrack, that does exist, and it is quite good, even though it is just a Game Gear game. Now, the cool thing about the Sega ones is that there is also a Sega CD game. Now, you might be thinking, what does the what can the Sega CD add? Like, is it an FMV game? What is it? Well, as was kind of a common thing at the time, is it's kind of a enhanced remake of the mediocre game that that was put on the Genesis. So that happened with the Amazing Spider-Man game, the like Spider-Man versus the Kingpin. I don't know if you guys ever played that game.
That game was hard. I owned it.
It's hard as balls.
Yeah, it has very amusing FMVs though on Sega CD.
Oh yes, he straight up gets melted. The
bad ending. You are absolutely dead.
But I could probably get to the Electro level. It was always like as far as I could get.
Electro was so hard too. Like he would zap like crazy.
I couldn't beat it.
It's also
but I did like. Oh, go ahead.
It's also one of those games that if you weren't playing on the hardest difficulty, the game would be like, oh well, if you want to finish the game, play on the harder difficulty.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that.
Yeah, it was awful. And then Venom would just be in every stage harassing you. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, that was really difficult. I put it on easy mode, and of course, it got cut short, just like you said. Yeah. That was an interesting game, though. That one was a lot better than the Batman Returns game. However, what was cool about the Sega CD game is that they added a completely new section of the game that would happen in between levels, where they basically made like a Chase HQ style. Like car combat game. So you were in the Batmobile and it had scaling and rotation like F-Zero or something like that, because it was on the Sega CD, because the straight up Genesis did not have that, but the Sega CD did. You could actually see that in the special stages in Sonic CD in particular. But
yeah.
But yeah, it has like that Mode 7 look to it.
Yeah, that off Mode 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of Soulstar almost has something like that going on. That 3D.
Yeah, Soulstar is really cool. I really love that game, actually. That game is very underrated. I think Rebecca Heineman worked on that. But anyway, so what is neat about the Batman Returns ones is those levels in particular are really fun. They're like a lot better than the actual main game. What's cool is the game gives you the option of just playing the racing levels.
Oh,
that's cool.
Like on their own. So you can actually, it's kind of like its own game in itself. You can play them together or separate, which is pretty cool. So I definitely recommend playing that game just for the car combat game on its own, because it's a lot of fun. It's really good. It's challenging, but it's a lot of fun. I really like it. And I mean, the only other impact that I can really think of, there was also a Game Boy game by Konami, but I don't remember anything about it, so you have to forgive me on that one. But does any I don't think there were any other Batman Returns games. I think I got them all. But the impact of this movie was also felt in the toys. I feel like there were so many more toys because of this movie, because there was just so many toys that they could make compared to the original movie. Like all the different like circus people, like you could make a different toy out of any one of those things. And all the different vehicles, like you have a Batmobile that has like weird abilities in this one, you know, where it can like shave portions of itself off and stuff like that. It's like, how did you build it like that?
Yeah.
You know, there's all the different things that like Penguin hops into. You also have the penguins that shoot rockets. Like there's just like so many toys, like the bat boat thing that like goes through the sewer. Like he built something, Batman built something hyper specific that is only good in that one instance, and that's going through the sewers of Gotham. Like it's the specific width and diameter of the tunnels of the sewer. Like I don't know what else, you know, you would do with that.
You wanted to go sewer surfing, you know?
Yeah, I guess he's just that rich.
He wanted to be a sewer shark.
And he had that all lined up. It wasn't like he made that specifically because he knew he had to go like battle the penguin.
No, Batman
he just had it.
Yeah, he just had it. It was just like, well, just in case.
What if there's an enemy in the sewers? You don't know.
It's just like in Batman and Robin when they have like the ice skates like already in their
Yeah.
cars.
Oh my god,
When did you ever think you would need ice skates? Well, good thing. Like they all laughed at you before, but who's laughing now?
It's okay. I have my shark repellent
repellent
as well.
Yeah,
yeah, we were both thinking the same thing. Shark repellent. But yeah, I mean, so the biggest thing to come out of all this is Batman the Animated Series, which still is probably my favorite TV show of all time.
It is up there, definitely.
It's amazing.
What about Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys?
What?
I actually do like that, but it's very obscure.
Yeah,
I never heard about that.
It's not even a cult hit. That's just something I know, and then something you happen to know about. But
Yeah, no one ever talked about that show.
That's because it was on BKN, like way back in the day,
What the heck
which
is
is
BKN?
It was a weird like New Jersey television station that only basically me and Lotus looked at because we both didn't have cable at the time.
Yeah.
So we didn't have like, so only me and him were trolling for whatever cartoons we could find at any given point in the day. And that was one of them. It was like the Roswell Files was on that too.
What about
and like a
Sherlock
few other...
Holmes in the 22nd century?
Yeah, like all that shit. Oh yeah, I used to watch all like the Incredible Hulk TV show on UPN. I watched all that. But anyway, yeah, this was a huge landmark TV show because it kind of jump-started the like the modern like cartoon era, I would say, other than maybe the Disney Afternoon. That was like a big deal, like when Gummy Bears came along, and then like then DuckTales, and then Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, and Tailspin, and all that stuff.
A lot of tail in there.
That was like a big deal. What was
A
that?
lot of tail in there.
Yeah. Well, you know all about all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But Gadget, all that stuff.
Although,
Gadget's one of those.
although I have
pillars.
never seen the gummy bears, to be honest.
Oh,
Yeah, I
out
don't
of
know that
out of
show
all
at
the
all.
ones out of all the ones that I mentioned, it's the least impressive.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's all about DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Chip and Dale, and maybe to a lesser degree Tailspin.
Yeah, Tailspin was just a personal favorite of mine. I just like the airship aesthetic and all that
Well,
stuff.
I just got a kick out of it because it was like alternate universe characters that I recognized. Like Baloo
Yeah,
and
it's like
Shere
Jungle
Khan were
Book.
there, but
Yeah,
they weren't
yeah.
called Baloo and Shere Khan.
No, they were. And
Oh no,
King
Shere Khan
Louie
was
was
Don.
there.
Oh no, never mind. Don Carnage was like the fox, wasn't it?
Don Carnage was the air pirate.
Oh, never mind then.
yeah,
never
I'm
mind then.
confused.
Okay.
No, Shere Khan was Shere Khan.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, and Taurus Bulva was the big bad in Darkwing Duck. But yeah, which is kind of a spin-off of DuckTales, sort of. For some reason, they keep saying that the launch pad in Darkwing Duck is not the same launch pad as DuckTales.
It's
Whoa.
like
Kinda
Patches
funny.
and it's like Patches in Demon Souls and Dark Souls. He's completely identical, but he's not the same Patches.
exactly. And in Armored Core as well, right?
Oh my god.
But
Well, I don't know what Armored Core it is, but I played the first 2 PS1 games and I have not met him.
I know he exists because I read that somewhere.
Maybe
but,
he's on PS2. I'll have to find him.
Yeah. But yeah.
There is an enemy organization in one of the Armored Core games called Dark Soul. That was a surprise.
Weird.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
And one of
But
the
yeah.
companies is Murakumo, and then there's an Xbox game called Murakumo.
Oh wow.
It's all linked.
All up in their own business. Yeah. But yeah, getting back to Batman the Animated Series, this was a really high budget cartoon show. It was basically aimed at all audiences. It wasn't just a kids show. I mean, there were other really high quality kids shows at the time going on then. There was Tiny Toon Adventures that was around the same time. But this show was something special. It was part of the WB animation team, kind of going along with Tiny Toon Adventures, but it was on Fox at the time, and it I believe Batman the Animated Series premiered on a primetime slot, which was pretty interesting. They really wanted to promote it as something that wasn't just for kids, and it was just amazing. I mean, I think the first episode they showed was like the Man-Bat episode, which was really one of the better ones.
That's pretty daring. That's like the MCU opening with Iron Man. It's like you're going to open with the Man-Bat? That's an interesting decision.
Yeah, it wasn't even a Joker episode, and then I think the first produced episode was a Joker episode with Mark Hamill.
That also makes me think of the Justice League, not the Justice League original, but Justice League Unlimited. So it's kind of unfair because by this point you've already been following the regular Justice League, so you're already in it to win it anyway. But the first episode of Unlimited,
Where they go straight to Thanos.
oh my god. Or Darkseid, but no, Darkseid was.
That's what I meant.
Darkseid
Yeah,
was the conclusion
Darkseid.
of the series, actually. But no, but like the whole point was the Justice League is made of like the big seven, so Unlimited was going to focus on other guys. Like Hawk and Dove were a really early episode,
Sure.
but the first episode was Green Arrow centric. So it's like,
Oh, wow.
you already know Justice League, so watch this guy, and you're like, yeah, okay, I guess. Oh, actually, he's pretty cool. Like, that kind of stuff.
Oh, what's really funny is Green Arrow has since become the cornerstone of one of the major DC universes, which
Yeah.
is really kind of funny.
But it was just like, here's a
when you
lesser
think
known
about
guy,
it.
Green Arrow. Here's a lesser known duo, Hawk and Dove. Maybe you haven't heard of them, but you have now. And it was kind of cool. So, like, you're already in, so they get you further in.
Some people grew up watching like Green Arrow for like 9 fucking seasons. So
Yeah,
it's incredible that he's like the center of the TV.
Yeah, well, it's like Iron Man
universe.
is the center of the MCU. Like, fucking
Yeah.
Iron Man.
Iron Man was the lamest character ever. Like nobody liked him before.
Yeah, it's like him and
before the
Fantastic
movies.
Four. Like, imagine
Yeah.
either of those being the centerpiece of MCU.
crazy. Yeah, it's kind of funny that like the MCU made its bones without like the two most popular Marvel characters, which is Spider-Man and Wolverine.
That is true. Yeah.
Which is hilarious. But I mean, Spider-Man's back, but geez, like he's not. He's hardly the center.
War.
Yeah, he's hardly the center of that universe, and he's pretty much the center of the comics universe. So it's kind of funny. Like a lot of the cosmic events happen around the Avengers, but everybody's following Spider-Man much closer. That's for sure. But geez. But anyway, Batman the Animated Series was just so amazing. They had their backgrounds were done on black paper, which was never a thing on any TV show before that. They really wanted to hit home that this was a show that happened primarily at nighttime. They also had a really interesting Art Deco aesthetic that was kind of like 30s and 40s-ish, but also modern at the same time.
Well, we've mentioned this before, but yeah, it's like the old-timey gangsters with their like trench coats and fedoras.
And Tommy guns. Even Tommy guns. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like what we talked about with Spider-Man PS4's DLC with like fucking Hammerhead and his like 1940s goons. Like, what is this?
Yeah, but like their cars were even like they almost look like Studebakers and stuff like that.
It was very like retro mod. It's kind of like the I don't remember about the first one, but like kind of like the second Incredibles movie, where it's like in the future, but there's still kind of an Art Deco aesthetic, and the Outer Limits is on TV, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and there are blimps. Like a blimp is like the first thing you see when you watch Batman the Animated Series.
That's true.
Like,
yeah.
Like the opening of the theme song is which is so goddamn iconic. I mean that Danny Elfman track is just
I love that Danny Elfman just like owns like just the Batman and the Spider-Man themes
and Simpsons.
Yeah, the Simpsons, he fucking killed it. And, oh, by the way, he used to be in a band. Maybe you've heard of it?
Oingo Boingo.
Yeah, Oingo Boingo.
Yeah, but, it's just incredible. I mean, there was also something you might not realize until you pay attention to it, but every single episode has a unique score, which, like, that never happens.
Yeah, that's like, shocking.
That's expensive,
I don't think any show was like that before that. And I don't think any show was like that after. Like every episode had its own like orchestral themes composed for it, and they had like their own orchestra.
And I think even every character had their own theme too, right?
Yeah, like they really like every episode has like different like reprising themes, and then you add like the Joker theme, which is it was like kind of like a Leave It to Beaver like throwback kind of, because he's goofy or whatever, I don't know, but yeah, really crazy. I really love the entirety of it. I mean, the versions of the villains of the Rogues Gallery in the animated series, which also I should say is primarily known for being written by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. Yeah. Paul Dini is still heavily involved in the comics.
And Bruce Timm's art style persists in the cartoons to this day.
Correct.
Speaking of the aesthetic, by the way, I don't know exactly how it works for the other characters, but the Joker got redesigned a couple times, I know, but like the Joker's original design in the animated series feels like kind of like his like 1940s comic look with the really exaggerated, like, I mean, obviously Joker has an exaggerated smile, but like it was drawn like cartoonishly in the comic, and he kind of has that vibe in the
like a pointed nose.
Yeah.
A pointed nose,
and like the very like pronounced yellow teeth and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The very angular face, a very pointy chin.
And
He also
voiced
pinstripes.
by Mark Hamill, which like it's really funny because Mark Hamill was the Star Wars guy for decades, but like at this point you see Mark Hamill in like The Last Jedi and you're like, oh, that's the Joker, like because he's been doing the Joker for decades as well.
There are people that still will say that their favorite Joker is his version of the Joker, and it's very easy to see why. His performance as the Joker is so good and manic and unique.
And the same goes with Kevin Conroy as like the definitive Batman.
Yeah,
it's just the voice, but it's so good.
Not only that, but he's also a really good Bruce Wayne. His voice change for both characters is really good. It's not goofy like Christian Bale.
I was going to mention Christian Bale because it makes sense to have a different voice as Batman, but yeah, it's very hoarse. Like you can't just talk like that for a while.
No, he has two distinct voices that he can emote well within, and they do not sound like they're like they don't sound like they're the same character, which is really awesome. It's really cool that he created two specific voices for a character that wants to switch identities.
Yeah.
You know? So I think he's just so iconic in that, and what's also really neat is they reinvented a lot of villains that never showed up in the movies until later, or
in Harley Quinn's case, never existed.
Yeah.
They invented a lot of characters. I mean, there was
Mr. Freeze's origin story is like,
I was just gonna
that's
say
just the definitive one now.
Yeah, I mean the people forget, but like Batman for a long time, was just like throwaway bullshit. Like it wasn't good. No, but like for lack of a better, Batman started off really good, like in the 30s. It's a really great, moody and noirish, but then it got like really stupid. The comics didn't get good until the 80s. Like anybody will tell you that it's not really worth reading, except for the very early stuff. And then everybody says that when Frank Miller wrote Batman Year One, that's where you could start.
Yeah.
Right? So, because before that, you just have, well, gee willikers, Batman, we gotta go fight, Mr. Freeze. He's just a guy with a freeze ray and...
Well, yeah, that was the 60s show, except the 60s show kind of
took
the
a
piss out
fistball
of
head.
itself.
Yeah.
Like, the 60s show, the 60s show is self-aware, but that's how it was. Uh-oh, Batman. We gotta go to the annual bird convention that Gotham is hosting. We think Penguin might show up. It's like, what? It was the same thing. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but they did that in Batman Forever, where there's like, what a coincidence. Poison Ivy raids like a jungle-themed party. But that's very 1960s Batman. Like, that's what would happen. It's contrived bullshit like this to get the villain to show up.
Oh, my favorite is the surf contest. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I mean, come on. I can't believe they ripped off of Escape from LA.
Oh my god.
But, like, he puts a bathing suit on top of his bat suit.
Yeah, that's when they know what they're doing. Like, again, with Batman and Robin, when it's like, we need to go into disguise to raid this event, and Bane just puts... Like, it was like the Ninja Turtles. Bane just puts on a trench coat and a hat, but he's still wearing his fucking luchador mask. It's like, well, all right. Like, they know what they're doing.
There was also a really good version of the origin of Two-Face in this show.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that you might not realize until you go back and watch it, but Robin was there from the very beginning. He's not in every episode, but he is Batman's partner from pretty much the get-go. The first produced episode, which is the first the Christmas special with the Joker, has Robin in it, so like And that version of Dick Grayson was really cool. He was like the cool teenager Robin.
That's the
not
thing.
like,
Yeah, he was not gee golly Batman.
No, he was a cool teenager Robin who had a motorcycle and like did his own thing.
He does the Akira slide with his motorcycle.
Yeah, he looked cool. He was a good fighter. They even had a really good origin episode for him as well. I don't know if you ever saw that one, but that was really a really awesome and emotional episode because he went after the killer of his parents, and Batman basically had to say, no, you can't kill him. Like, it's wrong. You can't go and kill him. And
Batman himself
will never help
came
you out.
kind of close and had to convince himself not to do it with when he caught Joe Chill. He finally caught Joe Chill.
Yeah.
But the Batman was surprisingly good at getting like legitimately emotional moments out of even like villains and stuff like that, like Harley Quinn.
He did an amazing job with those, like giving like gravitas to these characters, and not just like the most important ones like Scarecrow or Joker, but even characters like Baby Doll, you know.
Baby Doll had a brutal episode.
Baby Dolls was very brutal because you were like, wow, you really have to feel for a person that can't be taken seriously because of their size, and
because of their shtick.
Because
of their like if like she was like Shirley Temple in her like universe, so that's just all she's known as for. Well, it's like it's not quite the same thing, but like Ed O'Neill, he just like had to like wait for decades before people would stop seeing him as like loser slob Al Bundy. Like the Modern Family was like his reinvention, but if you ever saw him in anything else, it's like I had heard that
he was in a cop show.
Well, I was gonna mention I had heard that he was like I don't know if it was necessarily the cop show or if he was trying out for a different show, but I think
he was in NYPD Blue for a bit.
Maybe there was something where I think he was supposed to be like a judge or like entering a courtroom or something, but people chuckled when he showed up, even though he wasn't like doing anything because it's just like, oh, it's Al Bundy. Like you just have to like wait it out. It sucks.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I told you about Zach Galifianakis when he was like I don't know if you knew this, Lou, but like he Zach Galifianakis on comedians drinking coffee or in cars
with coffee. The name rolls right off the tongue.
But getting coffee with Jerry Seinfeld, he was just talking to Jerry Seinfeld about like how like he found it frustrating that like he went to his sister's funeral, like his sister's actual funeral, and he got up to like, you know, do a eulogy, and like people laughed like when he got up there, and like he was just like, what is that? Like, why? He's like, this was a serious moment, and then Jerry Seinfeld was like, actually, you should be really happy about that because like people love your comedy so much that even just the sight of you or your mannerisms remind them of how funny you are.
No, I mean that is a compliment, but it also means that like you can't like live your life normally.
No, it's true. It's a double-edged sword for sure. But you know, you can't even feel pain correctly. You know, at a eulogy. But
they went into Baby Doll's history. Harley Quinn, she wasn't just Joker's sidekick. They had like a horrible, abusive relationship with the Joker. Even when Batman's just not around, you're like, oh, this sucks.
My favorite episode in the entire series is actually the first Riddler episode. I really, really love that episode.
Yeah, we brought that up briefly last time, but that is a powerful... That's one of the... Like, I didn't watch much Batman back in the day, but I saw that episode and it was great.
And it has a really good ending, really kind of chilling ending.
Actually, one of our comments this week is specifically about that.
I love that. It's really, really good. Not only that, but it fit the character super, super well. Like going to a theme park that he helped design, and like kind of testing Batman and Robin with a Minotaur maze is that's full of like quiz questions, and it was just really cool.
Well, I thought the gimmick was that he designed like a toy. It was like this weird little thing you could solve, and the maze was like a giant version of that. Correct.
He designed the computer game.
Okay.
and they made the theme park and did not give him royalties for it. I think was the idea, and so he kidnapped the owner of the company that fired him, essentially, and because they wanted to use his ideas for the park and not pay him.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man Homecoming, like the Vulture. Like, he's not hellbent on world domination. Like, his boss fucked him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Vulture's... What I like about that movie in particular is that the stakes are low compared to almost any other MCU movie.
Well, it's refreshing. Not everything needs to be a world ender. Like, just
exactly,
especially for Spider-Man. Spider-Man stops like this is from
stuff Red that's happening in New York all the time.
Yeah, but like, and Red Letter Media mentioned this. Like, Rich Evans talked about this. He's like, his villains rob banks. Hydro Man is a bank robber with water powers. Sandman is a bank robber with sand powers. Electro's a bank robber with electric powers.
Yeah, no, they all rob banks.
Dr. Octopus.
I mean, what was cool about...
Dr. Octopus was a university professor who just went nuts.
What was cool about the Dark Knight was that they kind of played into that with Joker. He was an actual bank robber in that movie, so that was cool.
Yeah, but, and even in The Dark Knight Returns, the first 5 minutes...
The Frank Miller one?
The Christian Bale one, that was the second one, right, with Heath Ledger?
No, the second one is The Dark Knight.
Batman Begins and The Dark
Rises.
Knight. Excuse me, you're right. But yeah, like the first 5 minutes of that movie, like, whoops, got Scarecrow, stopped his plans, moving on. Like, they just took care of him real quick.
Yeah. Dark Knight Returns is the Frank Miller classic that we don't have an opportunity to talk about quite yet, but we
and by the way, we got to get to comments soon. But one more thing I want to ask about the animated series. I mean, this is obviously in an episode, so you might have seen the episode it's in. But did you ever see that YouTube video called like the smartest henchman ever?
Yeah, I have.
I've never seen that one.
Oh, it's great. There's a couple of thugs just like patrolling a hallway, and they're checking the rooms. Maybe it's like a hotel or something. And one of them opens a door, and Batman's just standing there, like, in the room.
Does he just nope the fuck out of there?
Yeah, he looks at Batman, Batman looks at him, and he just slowly backs out and closes the door. And then the other guy's like, anything in that room? And he's like, nope. It's amazing.
I love that.
Batman deals with like 10 thugs at a time. What the fuck is your single ass gonna do?
They all know him. They all know who Batman. He is.
Yeah, it's like, that was one thing that always pissed me off about Fist of the North Star. This only ever happened once in the entire series, where Kenshiro shows up and thugs are like, oh, that guy, nope, and they just leave. Like, that never happens
nope
again.
The fuck out. I think that is a valid response to like a well-known guy who can explode people with your with his hand.
Like, he literally kills you with a touch. And they did that in Yakuza. I think it was Yakuza 2, because your whole thing in Yakuza is like half of the submissions are like thugs, like loan sharks, like just increasing people's interest in exploiting them for money, and like you beat every single one of those missions by eventually finding out, like, the victim tells you, oh, their home office is over here, this is where I signed my deal, and you just beat the shit out of everybody. There is one mission, and I think it's in Yakuza 2, where like you tell the woman, like, wait outside, I'll deal with this, and you walk in. Oh, no, I think she even comes in with you, and the guys in the office are like, oh shit, it's that guy. You know what? We've suddenly we've come to an agreement about your loan. We can go ahead and just deal with this. It'll be fine. And then you leave, and the woman's like, that was weird. What was that all about? And you're just like, I don't know. I guess they were in a good mood today. That must be it. The mission's just over. It was fantastic.
I love stuff like that.
Well, what we have to talk a little bit more about the animated series, because there's a couple things I still want to mention, and also the games for that. Since we went over the games for the movies, and then of course we will delve into the Schumacher half of this universe. So
yeah, we'll spoilers a week early or however long it is, but like Batman Forever, if you realize it's 60s Batman the movie other than the actual 60s Batman the movie, it's a lot more palatable. If you look at it as a sequel to Batman Returns, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's also very 90s all at the same time. Like with that, like that black light, like radioactive green aesthetic and all that stuff.
Very neon.
Yeah, very neon. But what I was gonna say is, here's the thing. back then, those kinds of references were lost on a lot of people, especially young people, because it was hard to watch the 60s Batman back then. It wasn't on TV very regularly.
Yeah, not terribly. The only thing there was a part toward the end of the movie where like the holy rusted metal Batman joke.
Yeah.
That was the one part of the entire movie I was like, oh, that was a nod to 60s Batman.
Yeah,
like,
because
not realizing the entire movie was a nod to 60s Batman.
People used to say that kind of thing on schoolyards and that kind of thing.
Yeah, holy, like whatever contextual word makes sense, Batman.
Yeah, and no shit, Bucky. That was something we used to say all the time too. But like, just like stuff that we didn't know where it came from, but we said it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we're much better at having availability of classic things, like classic media. So, like you could just watch that on HBO Max now. I think, like just straight up. Like you could watch Batman, 60s Batman, no problem now.
Yeah, and it's for sale on DVD and Blu-ray like that, like as of a few years ago. It's been like 30, 40 years for that to happen.
Nice.
Yeah, that they had to work out a lot of issues because
the only thing you could have bought for decades was the movie because it was distributed by someone else.
Well, not only that, but it didn't. The rights issues. There were lots of cameos of other characters from other TV shows.
That's true.
Yeah, there's like the Addams Family showed up at one point. I mean, like the Munsters was the Munsters.
The guy who played Gomez. This isn't really fair because it's just the actor, it's not the character. But the guy who played Gomez was like the second Riddler.
Oh, well, that's not what I mean. Like,
I know that's not what I mean, but like,
actual other characters from other TV shows. Green Lantern, or not Green Lantern, Green Hornet. Yeah.
By the way, do you know how fucking surreal it was when Batman and Green Hornet are squaring off, and it's like, oh man, I wonder how that fight's gonna go. But then, fucking Burt Ward
cannot fight Kato. No, he can't fight Bruce Lee. Get out of here.
I think Burt Ward might have a chance. I'm like, oh god.
No, this campy kid in hot pants. No way. Fighting one of the greatest martial arts masters of all time. No way. But anyway, fan stuff, please.
Yeah, let's go. So, School Filmer is talking about the Nintendo online subscription. $50 for the 12 months and the expansion pack. A bit much, I'd say, especially since the UK price is £35. Then again, there are services out there that cost more than that per month, not to mention those that cost $20 a month. Speaking of the Switch, I really should get the fan looked at since it's making an awful noise at times, and I worry that it might break. Either that or it's just a lot of dust. I don't know anyone nearby who can help me with that, nor do I trust myself when trying to fix it on my own.
Hopefully it's dust.
Yeah. And then Living Corpse has a few comments. Prince of Persia Warrior Within is, and this is in quotes, emo, because the prince is being hunted down by the monster who guards time, the Dahaka, to the point the prince doesn't sleep anymore. Being hunted down like an animal has messed him up. We see him recover a little of the two thrones. I know there's whiplash since the sequel was so different from Sands of Time it felt like a reboot rather than a sequel, but I'd argue it's more realistic that the prince is a different, more cynical personality in Warrior Within. We'd become a lot more cynical, too, if the Guardian of Time was chasing us.
It kind of...
I actually really like the third game, probably most of all.
The third game's quite good. On one hand, I agree. On the other hand...
It's a little try-hard.
Well, not even that. Like, did being chased by the Dahaka give him the emo haircut, too?
I mean... No, but it also...
And the Breaking Benjamin soundtrack.
But it also reminds me of what happened with Leon Kennedy between Resident Evil 2 and 4, where his personality has, like, a huge shift.
He was, like, kind of a straight man in Resident Evil 2, and, like... Well, to be fair, I don't think this was really the case developer intended. I think the Western localization made him more quippy.
Really? That's interesting, because I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, I remember seeing, like, a difference video, and, like, when the crowd first leaves, when they're chasing him in the village, they all go to the church. I think in Japan, he's just like, where's everyone going? But, like, in the Western version, he's like, where's everybody going? Bingo? Like, they made it, like, cute.
Oh, my God. So, are you telling me that he doesn't quip against Salazar in Japan? That sucks.
I don't know.
You're small time, Sadler.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're small time.
Sadler. Your right hand comes off. But another comment from Living Corpse. This is what I had alluded to earlier. What I love about Riddler's first episode in Batman the Animated Series He actually won. His ex-boss is scared shitless and will never sleep again.
He accomplished what he wanted to.
Yeah, he was already on a plane when Batman and Robin saved his ex-boss and decided to go after it. Yeah, I remember that iconic shot, like, where Batman asks something like, here's, no, he says there's a riddle for you afterward. But he's like, what would you give for a good night's sleep? There's a riddle for you. And you see his ex-boss, like, in bed, like, curled up with, like, a shotgun, like, trembling violently, and that's just how the episode ends. He's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, he did what he mission accomplished. He wanted him to be afraid for the rest of his life, and he is.
He probably will be, yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
what do they say? You can't put a price on safety or security.
It was something like that. You're like, how valuable is a good night's sleep? There's a
good
riddle
night's
for you.
sleep. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
It was something like that. And then one more comment. People don't seem to get that this is regarding our discussion of slasher villains, like, killing everybody but the virgin. People don't seem to get that most times slashers killing people having premarital sex or had premarital sex is commentary on judgmental people, with the killer being the stand-in for a judgmental person. Well, that's what it became. But we were saying in Friday the 13th, it was just practical. It made sense in the plot. It could just be
in Halloween. It's just him being crazy.
Well, yeah, in Halloween it was completely incidental. He was killing like at random. That one little kid who bumped into him, he just let him go.
Well, no. His first kill is killing his sister and her boyfriend. When he was a kid. When he was a child. So, yeah.
That was in the original movie? I haven't seen that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. His sister and her boyfriend. They were having sex at the time. Yeah.
Okay. And it says, or it could be just a movie villain taking advantage of people who are vulnerable. It's weird people seeing it as someone being punished for doing something wrong. Like, the slasher isn't some hero punishing people for their evil deeds. He might kill the corrupt asshole character the audience is meant to hate, but he's also killing innocents. People in the shower, the toilet, married couples, having post-marital sex, I guess. He's evil. Like, way to miss the point, people. John Carpenter invented the trope, and even he's sick of it.
Yeah, I was. Me and my wife have been watching the original Friday the 13th. She has actually never seen it, and she's just like, "Wow, the killer is just straight up killing people for no fucking reason."
He's not. They make it pretty clear what his reason is.
Well, not his, but
like the parents brutally murdered him, and so he's like, all right, I'll take it out on your like the Simpsons, where he actually says it out loud, but he's taking it out
Friday
on the
the 13th, not Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. Thinking of the wrong movie, I think.
Yeah, I totally blew it. Friday the 13th.
No. Friday the 13th, Mrs. Voorhees is straight up just killing people that have nothing to do with anything, other than the fact that they want to work at the camp that she had her son died at.
Well, they're not the people who got the son killed, but, like, fuck camp counselors.
Yeah, but that's, like,
well,
they didn't do anything wrong, and
she's a crazy person, so, like, alright.
Yeah. They didn't do anything wrong. In the movie, they make it pretty clear that these are just regular teenagers. They're not bad people.
Yeah. That is another thing I like, by the way, is when, like, this only ever happens in the first or second entry of a slasher franchise, but, like, you actually root for the people you're supposed to be rooting for, and you're not just trying to see what cool kills the villain gets. Because if you want the heroes to die because they're assholes or something, then it's like not a scary movie anymore.
Yeah, it becomes weird other thing where just like waiting for people to die. It's like, I don't feel good.
Like in Pumpkinhead, I love bringing up Pumpkinhead. Like one of the guys is kind of an asshole, but you sort of see why, but you're like, I don't think I like this character. But everyone else you're straight up rooting for, and it's just like, but I get the villain's motivation.
Yeah. I really would do want to recommend the scene where Kevin Bacon dies in Friday the 13th.
That was shocking for the time.
It is still looks good. It still looks good. I don't think there's been many kills that are like that surprising and that brutal, and like it shows the whole thing.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you know what got me? That this isn't as brutal, but it surprised me, in a good way. And this is a stupid thing to bring up because it's like a schlock movie on purpose. But like Freddie versus Jason, you seen that one?
I actually haven't
Me neither.
Yet.
Well, okay, there's one kill that really got me because like they set up in a disappointing way, and they followed it up in a very clever way, where like there's some guy lying in bed, kind of like Kevin Bacon was, and Jason shows up and just stabs him, and I'm like, after all the shit that Friday the 13th has pulled, he just stabs a guy. Like,
yeah,
all right. But then he just somehow, with his superhuman strength, just folds the entire bed in half, like, immediately. And I'm like, oh, shit! Like, you got me. He was already dead by that point, but, like, oh, my God.
Everybody always says that their favorite Jason kill is him picking up the person in the sleeping bag.
Whacking him
like,
in the tree.
Whacking him against a tree. Yeah, that is particularly awesome.
Well, you know what was great? Did you ever see Jason X?
Neither. No, are you talking about the liquid nitrogen death?
That's clever, but I mean a legitimately amusing and kind of cool thing where they were like, we can't stop Jason, we gotta like distract him. So they put him in like he ends up in the holodeck, and they program into the holodeck like caricatures of his victims, like, let's have sex in the woods, and then he just starts killing like the holodeck people until he realizes it's not real, but he's just like, oh, camp counselors, all right, and he just starts like attacking them. It's amazing.
Wow.
What's kind of funny is that movie in particular was derided when it first came out, but I think a lot of people actually like it now.
Well, yeah, like I don't think they realized, because they were like, Jason's in space, this is fucking stupid, but like,
no,
that is stupid, but like, but yeah, it also kind of took the piss out of like,
it's a parody
genre.
of itself.
Like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, no, it's a parody of itself, and it's that way on purpose. Like,
and also that mask you saw of his in the trailer, like the new future-looking mask, like that was actually legitimately clever in the movie, because he wears his classic mask like the whole movie. But there's this one thing that they set up earlier in the movie that they pay off at the end, where they actually blow a bunch of Jason's head off. Like, they got him, but like it was in the room with like the regeneration bed, and the computer like didn't fully understand what it was doing because he's wearing like a hockey mask, so it just kind of assumed it was part of his face, so he had like a hockey mask face by the end. So it's like, you know what, all right, okay.
Wow.
I think it's gotten to the point where really the only bad one of those movies, like just straight up bad, is like Jason Takes Manhattan, which is like a pretty awful movie.
And by the way, no, he doesn't. He's in Manhattan for what, like 10 minutes?
that is the problem with it, is that it takes mostly like place on a boat and like 5 seconds in Times Square, you know.
It's like Hellsing, where like 3 entire movies go by and he's just stranded in the fucking ocean. He's like, God damn it, he's just waiting to get to land on this slow ass boat.
Wow, getting across that ocean to Elf Island like took no time at all.
Didn't take too long. That was a riot.
And then he died.
That was pretty fast. Yeah, that was amazing. That had to be a troll. That, like, come on.
Absolutely.
Oh no, it absolutely was. It absolutely was.
Jesus Christ. All right, so our question for the week, and this is our last question.
It's okay. I'll ask one more.
So Stranga. All right, fair enough.
Please.
But Stranga Games asks, this is going back to their previous question of Snatcher and Police Knots. What do you like better? Speaking on the topic of Snatcher and Police Knots, what are your thoughts on more story-driven adventure games surviving in a modern market? Nearly all the games I've developed, because Stranga Games makes its own games, people, are purely story-driven adventure games where the focus is the story, but I still get that odd comment or two saying, is this an RPG? Are there battles in it? I know Snatcher and Police Knots had shooting segments, but I'm not sure they were added to appease a wider demographic or to enhance the story. I don't know anything about Police Knots. Snatcher, if I had to guess, I would say it's Kojima being fourth wall breaking, because like that had like the Justifier support.
So what I gather with Stranga Games' games is that they're kind of like Corpse Party. They're, you know, adventure games
there's
that
no combat
that control like an old school RPG but aren't an old school RPG.
Yeah, like and in Corpse Party in particular, there are parts of the game where you're chased by things that'll kill you, but like there's no straight up combat. Even though your characters weirdly have HP, it makes contextual sense at like 2 or 3 points in the entire game. You probably could have done without it, honestly, but the HP isn't the point. It's more about like the dialogue, the discovery, the progression of what is happening.
See, I'm a big fan of adventure games in general. So, like any way that you can tell a compelling story with a great atmosphere and a good pace for the medium, I'm down for. I love that kind of game. So give me more. I mean, like some of my favorite games are just straight up adventure games. I mean, Snatcher's one of my favorite games of all time. I mean, it doesn't need the shooting segments at all. I like it for. First of all, it's Konami-ness. I love like it's Konami fan service, especially like with Napoleon. I really just love the music, the aesthetic, the pixel art, and I love the story in general. I think it's a lot of fun.
Speaking of stuff like that, by the way, regarding them surviving in the modern market, like they're gonna come back because everything does now that we have support for indie devs for PC and even consoles. Like all of a sudden, point and click started coming back because they were considered old and outdated. Look at what cooler stuff you could do with computers in like 1996, 1997. But now they're coming back because it's like, I grew up with them. I like them. Like, how beat 'em ups are kind of coming back. They're releasing old Sega Genesis and Nintendo like NES games again. So like even if story-driven games aren't like the mainstream AAA thing, they'll be back in indie form, and eventually they'll probably be back in triple or at least AA form.
Yeah.
Because like there's gonna be nostalgia for them, just like the big epic story-driven stuff like The Last of Us or whatever. That'll get tired, and it'll come back in like 20 years.
All genres kind of deal with that. I don't think there are outdated genres. There are outdated like design decisions and things like that.
That's the thing, and like there's never been a comeback before because there was never an opportunity, but now there is. So get ready in like 5 to 10 years. It's already starting where people are making PS1 graphic style games. And I know that's not a genre like adventure or whatever, but like they're doing that. Give it 5 or 10 years, we'll start seeing like PS2 style graphics, because that's what I grew up with in the 2000s.
That haunted PS1 like project that is on itch.io is like every one of the coolest things that I think anybody has ever come up with, and I think that person is like just out of high school too.
Yeah, and like one of the bigger projects is not an entirely original game. It's effectively like a demake, but like an indie dev is making like up to Father Gascoigne, like Bloodborne PS1 style. Like
That's amazing.
It won't run on a PS1. It's a PC game that looks
just
like
done
a PS1
in a style.
Well, yeah, but like like the graphics look authentic, and like for opening doors, you can't do everything smoothly like in real Bloodborne. So like they have like a loading screen that says loading, like Armored Core. Like they really went all out with it. They have like an inventory system that's like, I forgot what it looked like. I think it was like, it might have been like Silent Hills where you like scroll horizontally through items. It's pretty amusing.
Also awful. I'm glad this kind of
but like by design.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
And another thing that's interesting with all of these PS1 looking games is that the PS1 really fostered the era of horror for modern gaming, because like you had the Resident Evil, you had the Silent Hills and everything. And what also helped
even Alone in the Dark, which was PS1, but they got on PS1, or it was on PC, but it got on PS1.
Yeah, and it looked a lot better on PS1 too. And
and
I think also what makes it work so well is because PS1 graphics were already weird in itself. Like if you remember old games, you'd walk around, the textures would warp around you, everything would have a really weird depth of field.
Or you get stuck in the geometry, which is never something that happened in a 2D game before that.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, the closest that ever came is if you were going like excruciatingly fast in like Sonic or something, you might like clip through a wall or something.
Also, physics. Physics were obviously a thing in 2D games. Not saying it wasn't, but physics were a lot more complicated.
Yeah, more apparent.
And you also had camera controls that were just starting to be a thing too. So, I mean, this was also the era of first-person shooters, and you're already starting to see the boomer shooter return. There's actually quite a few games that are.
Oh yeah, like Dusk and stuff like that, and that.
Yeah, you have Dusk, and you have Ion Maiden or whatever it's called now. Ion Fury.
Yeah, Ion Fury. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually made in the old engine that everybody
that's pretty
loves.
Amazing.
That it's made in the build engine. I mean, and you also see like a lot of nostalgia for the. Even the pixel-based first-person shooters of like Doom, you know, like we have re-releases of even games like Strife popping up recently, and
that's amazing.
It is,
and Quake 1, you know, so and you also have like what was Ultra Kill? You have like a game like Ultra Kill that like has that like Quake 1 aesthetic, but like is unabashedly a modern game, like in terms of its design. Like it doesn't play like a game from that. It looks like a game from that era, but it plays like Dark Souls mixed with Devil May Cry. Like it's an insane game. Have you ever played Ultra Kill?
Nope.
Lotus, you would absolutely love Ultra Kill. You should go ahead and play it. It's insane. Like there's all kinds of like bonuses and things like that. There's like offshoot levels and things like that. It's an insane game. It's really, really good. Very fast paced.
To get back to Stranga's questions about like things like is it story driven adventure games, I have no doubt that they will work. And the comments that people say like, is this an RPG or are you battles or you have it? This is the same kind of people who go play D&D and all they do is put all their things in strength and go attack people. They
Yeah. I was just gonna say they're
fun,
probably
but like it's better as punctuation rather than all you do.
They're probably either young or have a very limited scope of things.
Like
I would never ask that kind of question because like I take a game, I would only assume there's combat in it if you show that there's combat in it.
This is also something for people who just may be new to the concept, like you said. Like original Metal Gear was like questionable when it came out. Like you run away from the enemies, but like that's the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like we've been around for a while, a long time, and like ever since like video games basically were invented. I mean, like like.
I would say when super mainstream, and even then we're a few years late.
But
we missed the Atari.
You know what I mean? Since very early in the inception of the medium.
Yeah, like
right?
we're their earliest post-crash.
Yeah, exactly. We were right there when the NES got released, right? At least me and you. So yeah, like we've been around for a while and we've seen all kinds of things, and not only that, but like we played. We have obscure retro game knowledge. The three of us, I would say. So, like, nothing surprises me. Like, in terms of, like, oh, this is a game where it just does that. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, like Undertale, an entire game where you dodge and try not to kill enemies. You could, but you'll pay for it.
And you're represented by a little heart icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Undertale's gonna be one of those games where if you ever see, like, a screenshot in a video game, like, compilation thing, like, 15 years from now, you're like, what the fuck?
Well, the thing is, that game is so mainstream in terms of its like fandom.
But I'm just trying to imagine looking at it from an outside perspective. You're like, does this game play well at all? Like, yes, it does.
It's very hard to describe, like how it could possibly play well when all you do is dodge around in a as a little
in a box
in a little tiny box.
Just imagine playing Toho without shooting.
Yeah.
It is kind of like a shooter, yeah.
Especially when you're fighting, Sans.
Any boss.
Yeah. That was so much fun. I got to replay that game.
I think.
But yeah.
You know what? I think for me, Undertale is kind of like Journey, where I played it once and I'm like, I got everything I wanted from it. I don't need to play it again.
Well, same with me. Yeah, I got the pacifist ending.
Yeah.
You know what's really cool?
I agree.
I actually went for the genocide ending right until the end where the guy's like, I'm going to kill you too. And I quit the game and I'm like, you don't win. I win. And at that point, if you reset the game and redo everything, Flowey kind of reacts to the things you do. And at the very beginning, he's like, are you serious? Like, you did everything, and now you're gonna start over. I'm like, yep, no genocide ending for me.
That's amazing.
That's like playing BioShock and turning it off when he says, "Would you kindly?"
Yeah.
Yeah, just I'm out of the game.
I win.
By the way, Fakafon, if you liked Journey, I recommend Abzu. It's Journey, but underwater.
Abzu. I've seen that. My friend played it. It's a journey about you trying to find your family, or your mom or something?
No, it's just Journey, but underwater. You are trying to stop this threat to the environment, but that's more of just an excuse. It's like Journey. You're trying to reach the mountain, whatever. It's an excuse to go forward.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's Journey, but underwater. And it's about, like...
That's pretty cool.
If you just want to beat it, then it's like an hour long.
Well, it's more about... It's like watching a movie.
It really is about the journey.
Yeah, it even has those, like, sand surfing levels, except you're caught in an underwater current, so you get to just see cool stuff for a while.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah. Me too. I love games that are just a vibe. I mean, sometimes that's what I want.
Yeah, it's kind of rare, too. Even, sometimes people just go, like, on games like Gmod and just download a map and walk around in it,
Oh, sure.
Oh, that's fun. All right, well, I think we answered that question for sure. I mean, the type of games you make, Stringa, are just fine in my book. I love that kind of stuff. So, go for it.
Once you like understand what it is you're playing, it's what I said about Snatcher when we played it years ago. Like, oh, you're reading all this text. When do you get to the game? Like, this is like once you understand that, then you're gonna have a good time.
All right, well, I guess we'll just wrap things up then. That is the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions. Thank you, Stranka Games. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud.
Okay, I will.
We need more folks.
Don't pressure me.
Yeah, do it. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything. Just give me a heads up. Thank you.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Twitter as Lou Fakafon, or you can watch my webcomic, Kedrula, at kedrula.com. And
the Patreons on both of those are worth every penny.
Yeah.
I should say. So please support our hosts here. So we will catch everybody on Tuesday. Well, no, we won't. We were actually going to go on a little bit of a hiatus. I am getting married, and I am going to France.
Congratulations!
Did I say it correct? Did I say it correct?
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Now, you may have heard me refer to my wife as my wife. We got legally married last year, but due to COVID complications, which I'm sure everybody understands, we put off our ceremony for our friends and family until this year. So we're gonna do that and go on our honeymoon to France, to Paris, as it were. So we will put out some archived episodes. Let's see if we can pick out some really good ones where I said the introduction correctly. And then we'll go from there. But I think since we have 5 years of content under our belt, which is hard to believe that we've been doing this for
crazy,
this long,
huh?
But yeah, we maybe I'll put out some with some of our old hosts, Old Man Stompy and Pirate Jack Frost, because guys. Yeah, they're gonna be at the wedding too, so we could celebrate. So yeah, we'll have some old friends to look forward to for I guess 2 weeks it'll be probably. So we'll catch everybody when I come back, but we will still be releasing episodes until then.
Until next time, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.